for the radio. I'm here.
Welcome to Moe's Paisley Penny Arcade.
Those of you listening on the radio,
1, 2,
I'll
3,
be there in
4.
just a second. Hang on. Glitch of some sort. Patience. Hello, and welcome to the Paisley Penny Arcade. I am Mo, and today is April 15th, 2026, Tax Day. And, so it is. Tax Day. Is that a good thing? Well, it can be. For a lot of people, it's a day of misery, but, doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. Actually, for a lot of day, they realized that the Postal Service no longer guarantees delivery, or not delivery, but the postmark. So they had to get it in earlier. So I guess that's a good thing. Is that a good thing? I would hope so. I don't have any, you know what? Forget it. Let's not talk about it. For those of you listening on the radio, for some reason you didn't get the theme song, so I was talking through it. So for those of you watching on YouTube, you heard that there was some me talking and so on and so forth. So whatever. Technology. The world of tomorrow, today. That's it. Remember when I was a kid? When was that? When did we go? 66, something like that, maybe 1966. We went to Disneyland, and we went a few times. And one of the times we went was 66, and there was the Monsanto World of Tomorrow. And they had a Monsanto house, too, I think it was. And their motto was, without chemicals, life itself would be impossible. A few years later, an entire generation would agree with them. Actually, just a year or so later, actually that summer, the summer of love actually started in 66, 65 more or less, but 66 is when it really was happening, and then in 67 it ballooned into much, 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 much more. 67, that'll be next year, will be the 50th anniversary, or 60th, holy cats, the 60th anniversary of the Summer of Love. And it was, you didn't have to be in San Francisco for it to be impactful. I'll just say that. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing okay. If you have time, you can join me live in the the YouTube chat room. It's go to YouTube at moabdelbaki.com, MoAbdelbaki, and you can talk to me. We're going to talk about tarot today, just tarot talk. Talk about the cards in general, just about using them and what they're about. I have some ideas about some things that I may be doing in the future, maybe some, tarot work, maybe not. I haven't completely decided yet. There's always something going on in life that says, nope, you're not doing that. You may think you're doing it, but guess what? You're not doing it. You think you're doing it, but actually you're not. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what goes on. But I hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're having a good month, and I hope you're having a good year, and I hope you're having a good lifetime. That's important as well. Kind of a chilly day today here, but that's all right. It's not bad, actually. Life is interesting, that's for sure. So let's talk about the cards some. I'm not going to talk about politics or any of that stuff. I can do that, but then I'll get annoyed and then I'll say something that'll annoy somebody else. And I'm not here to annoy. I do enough of that in my regular life. Trust me. I'm good at annoying people. I don't even try to. Um, I just have a knack for annoying others. What can I say? So, Tarot. Every now and then, I would like to just visit the cards, talk about the cards some. I've been working with Tarot. I've had a deck in my possession for about 60 years or so. And it's been an interesting thing. I first got a deck when I was about 11. I sent away for them when I was 10. And we moved, so it took a while to get to me. Not fast forwarding, just forwarding of the mails. And finally got them, and I was about as excited as I could be. I was going to drag out my first deck and drag out my second deck and so on and so forth, but I did not do it. Um, it was a busy day, busier than I anticipated it being. But maybe sometime I will do that. I'm just there's something I am going to do one day, and that's just drag out a bunch of decks. I've got a bunch of decks. Just bring out a bunch of decks and just pull out three cards, or maybe I'll do that as a bunch of shorts and do readings for a day, and then another day, that sort of thing. Like I said, I'm tossing around ideas just to see where those ideas take me. Probably to a mental institution. One never knows. Do one. But we'll see. So, yeah. So, hey, Pamela, welcome. Nice to see you on this Wednesday. Nice to see you. Welcome. Welcome. Um, thank you for coming. Uh, yeah. So, cards, I've had them for a long time. And to be honest, I didn't know what they meant. I was first intrigued by them when I was very young. I think probably 5, 6, maybe 6. Saw them on a TV show, and I did not know what they were. But of course, it was all about, um, you know, Denise. Hi, Denise. Welcome to the room. Good to see you. I was intrigued with them. There was a show that emphasized the death card, as most shows will do. But of course, by the end of it, the person who involved with it was dead. So, oh, I want that. Must have been the Marseille deck, because I remember the death card being, just kind of gnarly. And those types of, wasn't a very, I won't say, and I don't mean this sophisticated, but it was drawn rather simply, and if you know what I mean. Um, I got to tell you, I got a thumbs up from the U.S. Games um, company system, or whatever they call themselves. They're the company that prints like 98%, 99% of the tarot cards. They had a card that I didn't think made a lot of sense to me. It was the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is interference in tarot, and it said, "What does this? Um, what sort of? How does this pertain to the Eight of Swords for you?" And people were giving all sorts of meanings to it, and I said, "Well, as this card as the." And it was showing a lady, and she's kind of looking perplexed, and these swords are kind of all around her. And I said, well, as the Eight of Swords, as the Lord of Interference, I doesn't pertain to anything for me. And they gave me a thumbs up, and I thought, they do that for everyone, I'm sure, who answers. But, yeah, I was like, I don't know. See, and that's the problem, I think, with me. I'm a snob. I don't know if I'm a snob or not. Renee, welcome to the room. Come on in, have a seat. Um, yeah, the arcade is being refurbished for tax day. We don't open it up on tax day because people are too freaked out, you know. But I should get some of the old arcade things I did, the recordings, if I have them and play them. It's just they're so weird. Some of them are so weird. One I won't play, and that's the one where I destroy something and then my computer died the next day. I'm convinced had something to do with it because it was so violent and vile. But I should do some of that, like the Hall of Mirrors, which was just, I could see it in my mind. I don't know if any of you ever saw that, heard any of that, but it was so real to me. Or the lighthouse in the arcade, which I can see as clearly as. Anyway, let's get back to the cards. But and the sock monkey oracle. Oh God, what is wrong with me? Yeah, yeah, the sock monkey oracle. This Creole gypsy kind of a thing who her soul went into a sock monkey doll and got caught in there, but she was happy there, and she would, you put a couple of pennies in, and she would give you answer your question. Um, The lighthouse was cool. You did hear that, Denise? Oh, how nice. Yeah, that was so weird because I could see it and feel it and hear it. And I should find those. I don't know. I never did notate what shows I did what. I think I'll do that and see how that goes. It was theater of the mind, and I could see the place and I could smell the place because it was right off the ocean, and you could kind of, it was kind of a fun place for me. Ah, you do remember the arcade, Pamela? You could see it too, then, huh? You could hear it and feel it. I loved that place. There was that strange place where what did I call that? Where I would sing and make a complete jackass of myself. The zing-a-zong, that's what that was. But boy, I really had fun with it. Then I came onto YouTube where I can't do that anymore because I'm just sitting here. But theater of the mind is wonderful stuff. Let's see who's in here. Um, let's see. Mac Hash, which is Jack. I finally made it to the live stream. I love these chats too. Thanks for of course. Thank you for coming. So nice to have you. Yeah. But then again, I love these YouTube things because there's something about it. There's something about sitting here and being kind of responsible, yeah, the lighthouse, the whole arcade thing was a lot of fun because, like I said, it was theater of the mind, and there was the Smiling Jack, not the singing, um, the musical sailor who was actually based on a real thing. Oh, GB, hi, GB, how are you? It's so nice to see you. Wonderful to have you back. I hope you don't mind me calling you GB. So much easier than trying to pronounce the first part, which is Abraham backwards. Love to have you back. Um, so nice to have everyone in the room. I love it. I love it. I love it. And those of you listening on the radio, I love having you listening on the radio too. Radio, that's what Woodrow Wilson called it. He was on the radio. It was new back then, relatively new. So yeah, I'll drag some of those things out and we'll listen together because they were really fun. The ghost. The ghost thing where I wound it up and we ended up speaking to spirits. That was fun. God, that was a lot of fun. I don't think I could pull it off in this room, even though it looks like it's haunted for sure. And it looks like it's just, the sea shanty. Yeah, that was cool too. The shanty. That was a lot of fun. Smell really bad because you ended up on the poop deck. But shit, that's just stupid. And I had to use an Oscar Mayer whistle because my bosun's whistle doesn't work. My bosun's whistle's right over there, and it does not work. So all of that was absolutely real. I tried to keep it as real as possible. So there we are. There we are. Um, okay, back to Tarot. So I think that just by talking about Tarot, if you have any interest in Tarot whatsoever, yeah, you can get. Let's see what we have. Meg. The Maca is an ode to my lifelong love for the Beatles and Wings, which I suspect you'd appreciate. Yeah, certainly, certainly. Wings was when I was in high school, actually. I think probably maybe my senior year. The Beatles, of course, were I grew up with the Beatles and loved the Beatles, and when Sergeant Pepper came out, I was like, oh my God, this is a lot of fun. And I heard Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds the other day in the grocery store, and I just thought, if someone had told me when Sergeant Pepper came out that I would be in the grocery store one day and hear Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, I would have said, "Oh, you're a liar," because such a thing could just not happen. Um, just not gonna happen. The first song I ever heard from my generation in the grocery store was the flute riff from Going Up the Country by Canned Heat, a group which I really like. Let's see, I wasn't born until the 80s. But I've met the man himself, so I just got over that. He was a lovely, so you met Paul. Good for you. Good for you. I never met a Beatle. I've met some people. Yeah, I met Leonard Nimoy, and he was a sweet guy. I met Noel Neal, who played Lois Lane in the Superman TV shows, and she was sweet. She was real nice. I met a few. I met Timothy Leary. After he'd done some time. And that was a remarkable. I'll tell that story some other time. Yeah, and unfortunately, as the song says, Timothy Leary's dead. But he was not dead when I met him. It was more than interesting. It was really it was cool. He was cool. He was, tell the story some other time. Nothing weird, nothing illegal at all. I was in college. He was doing college lectures, and he was just, it was great. It was really great. I met William Wyndham, the actor, who was on Murder, She Wrote, and so on and so forth. I've met some people, not, just, yeah. I've seen some good concerts in my life, I saw Led Zeppelin in 77. What a concert. Saw Pink Floyd right around there. Anyway, my God, I saw Jerry Jeff Walker. Wow, that was a great concert. The Cosmic Cowboy. Anyway, let's talk about Tarot. So anyway, Tarot. You see, this is why I love a live audience. I just love it. Because people are fascinating to me. I love people. So I love doing readings for, gosh, I've been doing them forever. And read for thousands of people and enjoyed it so completely. Yeah, I have. And all sorts of people who liked me, people who didn't like me, people I didn't like, and people I've loved, Yeah, it's been really cool. Anyway, the cards have been an avenue for so much, so much, and just pieces of paper. And the thing about it is that we complicate tarot so very much, and they're not that complex. They really aren't. What makes them complex is that we have to remember they were designed as a game. They were designed as a game. And the whole concept was that the minor arcana were designed as just like playing cards. Okay, so here. Here's a deck of cards. Now, the thing about playing cards is that you've got numbers, right? So you've got just cards that are numbered. Okay, here, pick one. Not just, I'm kidding. So here's the cards, and you've got all these numbered cards, and we play games like Pinochle, not with this deck, but you play Pinochle, Canasta. You need what? 2 decks for canasta? I don't know. You play gin, you play cribbage, you play poker, you play whatever the case may be. And you have all these numbered cards, right? Card magicians or whatever, I used to do card magic, and I used to enjoy it very much. And then somehow the deck just gets smaller and smaller. I don't know how that works, Lisa, how are you? Welcome. It gets just tiny. That's just an optical illusion, So the whole point is that the reason you've got all these different numbers is because they have values, right? You've got a king, which is high. An ace can be higher. It can be lower. It can be the lowest card. And what you want to do is win. And then the suits are given a value. A spade can be higher. A spade can be lower. Okay. And then you're going to do what when you play a card game? You're going to gamble. That's what the whole thing's about, gambling. I mean, I don't gamble because I don't like to lose money. I'm a Taurus. Tauruses don't like losing the money, you see, because it's just an annoying thing to lose money, especially to a Taurus, because we generally, I haven't had a lot of money in my life. It's just one of those things that I haven't had a lot of, money is kind of, what the heck is this? Oh, this is, poker is the name of the game, $2. No, not for me, thank you. Happy tax day. Yeah, we were talking about that. May refunds be in our future. Yeah, or may a refund be our future? May a future be in May, and that's a good idea. So it was a game. And then to make it spicier, they created trumps. Anyway, triumphs. Yes, look up the word, the etymology. And so triomphe, the Arc de Triomphe. And in cards, the trump cards have more power. And in the game of tarot, blah, blah, blah. So we have the minor arcana, which are these cards, with 4 royalty. So we say, okay, these are just regular life, blah, blah, blah. And then we have the major arcana, which are the so-called trump cards. No, get over it, Mo. All right. So I'm just not a fan of war. That bothers me. So we have a tendency to say that these cards are more powerful than the regular cards. Now, if we're playing Tarok or Taroki, or in French, Tarot, then yeah. But what we need to do is kind of relax a little bit and say, when I'm doing a reading, they're really not more powerful than any other card because we have meanings for them. Now, who gives us that meaning? Is it the little white book that comes with a deck? Let me see here. Do I have the little white book in this? Yeah, I do. Ah, boy, I am such a traditionalist here. Here we have, this is my Lenormand deck. I think I only have one Lenormand deck. And here, and even have the little tiny rubber band that goes around it. Here it is, the Lenormand little white book, explanation, and all the little meanings and everything. You get these little white books, and you read the little white book, and that's it. So you have this deck. I love the Lenormand deck. This is a good one. This is a Piatnik. This is this one, right? And I've had this for about 40 years, I guess. And you have all these little pretty pictures, and there's a letter, and Oh goodness, no, I guess I should hold this one. There's a road, and so you have these, and if you just stick with the meanings of the little white book, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right? Well, you're not doing yourself any good. What you have to do is you have to say, well, what is a bouquet to me? Well, to me, I'm reminded of the Queen of Spades here. I'm reminded of the day that my dad and I and my brothers were watching TV and suddenly it said, Happy Mother's Day. And we all went, oh no, we had totally forgotten it was Mother's Day. I mean, it was just, and my dad went, oh my God. And he ran up to the phone and he called a florist and they delivered, a couple of dozen roses and everything on Mother's Day. And they got there within the hour. And he must have, I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And you think, okay, so you bring that into it too, because there's one side of it, which is a bouquet of flowers. And of course, the bouquet of flowers can be marriage, the bouquet of flowers, but it can also be panic. It can be all sorts of things. And so you take it and it's more than just one thing that the little white book may say. And I didn't look it up, But in the little white book, it talks about there's a scourge. There's a whip and and it's like, wow. But you think, okay, what does it mean to me? What is it about to me? And so the same is true of tarot. Every card should have a meaning to you. It should have something to you that makes sense to you. And so in that sense, any card in a deck, my deck, for example, here's my star card, right? And my star card has nothing to do, it's very personal because I found this place once in what I call an astral projection, Let's see. Pamela says, I took a class where we didn't use the description for the card. We used only the pick to read for someone. Yeah, good idea. And if it's a good deck where the pictures are evocative, where they evoke something from your imagination, right? Then that's good. That's good. If you're using something like the H.R. Giger deck, then it can be a problem. I don't know. Giger designed the Alien from Alien movies. He drew some very strange imagery that can be a little bit nightmarish. But this is a very personal place. I've talked about this card actually on this offering, this show a few times. But it has to do with a place that I found, and I would go back there, and I've done it in guided meditations before, taken people there, and it's a remarkable place, and it still exists for me. I think I actually talked about it in the book that went along with this deck. But the Aeon here, the Aeon is one thing. To me, the Aeon represents the end of the dinosaurs, the beginning of the rule of the mammals. That's an Aeon. That's a pretty important Aeon. So here the dinosaurs are just munching away. That's actually a very cute dinosaur, in my opinion. A very sweet-looking dinosaur, just having its last meal, as it were. It's sad. So but you make of it what you will. There's not a little white book that'll tell you that. And so, but it's no more important than this one, the Nine of Swords, which is kind of a rough card, man. The cruelty card, right? Oh, thank you. So grateful that you show off your deck. It's inspired me to create my own deck for personal use. Good for you. And just thinking about what I would portray has widened my understanding of tarot immensely. Excellent. Every one of you listening to this, if you don't create your own deck, you should at least consider what your deck would be. For example, this Nine of Swords, right? It's an inverted pentagram. Now, what does the inverted pentagram mean? Why is it such a... Okay? Why? Well, because the right side up pentagram represents 5 points. Each point represents an element. And the top point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's an invoking pentagram, invocation. And I'm not going to get into all that, except for the fact that the topmost point of the pentagram, right here where my finger is, right here, represents spirit. The fifth element, the quintessence, right? The quintessence. And that is spirit. So when you invert the pentagram and you have the 2 horns up, right? That's, it's fine. You have the 2 horns up and it doesn't call Satan or anything like that. That is such blah. But you have the point down. It represents the overthrow of the physical elements, fire, water, air, and earth, over spirit. So the subjugation of spirit by the elements. And that's why it is so darned bothersome, because it is the subjugation of spirit by the physical world. And that's a bummer, man. So when you have that problem, people are bummed out because they don't have the physical or the spiritual connection, and the world overtakes them. And they feel like they are just absolutely miserable and lost. And that is why the inverted pentagram is such a bugaboo. And that's the main reason. Pamela, you may draw like a 2-year-old, but what you do in a case like that is you pick a symbol that makes sense to you, and it doesn't have to be a whole thing. It can just be one thing. See, there are ways to make it yours that don't have to be real big deal. You see? Now, Maka says, I have cerebral palsy and approximately 2 working fingers. My deck won't be pretty, but I'll work. But it'll work. I'm sorry, I have bad eyes. You can do it too. I actually drew so long and so hard. I worked over 100 days, about 6 hours a day on my deck, that my left eye wandered over to the left and stopped working with the other eye. I thought maybe I had had some sort of issue. I don't know if it was just eye strain. It took a while for it to come back. I didn't know if it was... I didn't have insurance at the time, so I didn't go to a doctor. And I was pretty sure that if I'd gone to the doctor, they would have said, oh, we need to, crack open your skull and have a look inside. But I didn't go. I just had to close my eye when I drove. Yes, I drove like that. Yeah. It happened twice, actually. It happened twice. Bless you, by the way, for your cerebral palsy. I hope you're doing okay. And your chutzpah is unbelievable. Your moxie. Good for you. We all have the ability to read these cards. It's what they mean to us. It's what they become to us. And they do become to us because if you have the desire to use them, and I'm convinced it's not that you have to be gifted with psychic ability, there's a lot of common sense to it. One of my dearest, closest, longest friends is a clinical psychologist, and he's brilliant at it. Brilliant, and I love him dearly. And he's on the other side of the country. And we Zoom. It's not Zoom, it's something else. But we do see each other as often as we can. He's extremely busy. Me, not so much, but he's very busy. And he believes in what I do. He could very easily not. I have scientific friends who don't believe in what I do and actually cut their ties with me. That's also a foul tip. But they cut their ties with me because of what I did. But he believes. And he's also just a very wonderful guy. We've had a lot of fun together, that's for sure, in our past. And then we split apart just because of proximity and we didn't have the ability to do this modern Jetson phone thing. But he could very easily say, "Oh, you know," but no, he understands that it's more than. And I've had rather impressive psychologists who have taken my classes in Truro, and a very well-known one who recently just passed away, who was a very sweet guy. Yeah, yeah, God bless him. And suffering for my craft, yeah, I did suffer, but I couldn't stop. I'm got something going on now. I'm obsessing about, and I felt my eyes like, oh God, I got to put this stuff away. But not putting it away. We'll talk about the obsession of the craft for what we do sometime. I went crazy with gematria. I bought a Hebrew concordance of the Bible back there. It's the Hebrew Bible. It's back there. It's a concordance where you look up every single word, and your brain just is on fire. I actually just sold a lot of books because I needed the money. And if selling them was like giving birth, but then, not keeping the baby. It was terrible. It was one of the worst things I've ever. I've never given a book away. I've never sold a book because books are to me knowledge, and knowledge is, and I realized, well, you got to let go sometimes. So that was hard. But there's only one I really regret. I mean, some of these, I waited for one set of books for 6 months. For 6 months, I waited for that 2-volume set to arrive from Copenhagen, of all places, and I had to part with it. But when you get old, it's what you do. But wow, that's just life. That's life. And I realized, and here's the thing, I realized I was never going to read it again because the stuff I need is here. Now one day that may just, if I have to go back to the book, I'll never need it because this will just be goo. But you love the books. There are books back here I'll never ever part with. But they were rare, and so it worked out. What can I say? Why am I telling you this? I don't know. You get old and the mind just flies away, and you just find yourself talking about the weirdest things. Cards. The cards are wonderful. Why are they wonderful? Because they allow you to weave a tapestry of life that is akin to the life you have lived, Thanks. You're very kind. And that's what you'll find. That's what you'll find is that the life you have lived is reflected in the cards as you grow. So does your understanding of them. So does your ability to read them. The Three of Swords, Sorrow, is a devastating card. Devastating card. And for those of you who read for others, never, ever, ever underestimate its devastating power. Never underestimate the effect that it has on people. And even though what they're talking about may to you seem like something, never ever assume that to be the case. Because if that Three of Swords appears, it is absolutely miserable to them. and painful and destructive on a level that you just don't associate it with what they associate it with, perhaps, or you might. I once read for um, a lady whose husband had been terribly murdered. And that was the first card that came up before I knew anything about her. And as she began to speak, it got heavier and heavier. And then she told me her story. And I was just dragged into this pit with her. And trying to console her was impossible. But we had quite a discussion, and I hope I helped her. And you have to remember something. That's what we are here for. Our goal is to help people. Now, sometimes you're put in a situation where you don't want to help somebody. And that was made clear to me when a person had come to the bookstore, 12th House bookstore, brick and mortar bookstore that Mark Husson ran with John back in the 90s, early 90s, when I met them. He'd come up from Colorado Springs, I think. I should keep my mouth shut. And he was intent on taking the life of someone else. And the cards told me immediately, boom, right there. Beware. Danger. Big danger. And I could just feel it. And I felt it from him. And I knew that I was in personal danger. And all I said to him was, because I got a card, and I said, I'm trying to remember what that card was. I think it was 7 of discs, failure. And I said, and I had a good idea what was up, because I think I did get the 9 of swords. And I said, whatever you're planning on doing, and I added, I have no idea what you have planned, although that was not true. But I said something to the effect of, it's not going to work. You won't do it. It won't work for you. He said, do you have any idea what I have in mind? I said, absolutely not. Not a clue. But you won't pull it off without a hitch. It could be really disastrous for you. And I could see that was true. And it was a terrifying time for me because in that moment I knew, had a pretty good idea what was up, and it was scary. And that's all I'm going to talk about that, because it was a very rough half hour. Back then, we did half-hour readings and hour readings. And I'm wringing my hands. That's how upset it made me. I'm wringing my hands. And I wasn't sure I was okay afterward. I was afraid for a while. Because if I had left because this guy was not, he was very together, and there was no doubt in my mind that if he had any clue, and I wouldn't know him from Adam, but if I had any clue of what he was up to, that he would not have hesitated to maybe, but that's been over 30 years, so, But it was, and that's not the only time something like that happened. There was a lady who came in, and the first card I pulled was the Queen of Swords reversed. And I right away got the feeling, uh-oh, this is not good. The thought was, excuse me, the thought was, I'm allergic to her. Allergy season all year for me, but it's been because of the winter so mild. Anyway, the thought was, don't trust her. You can't trust this woman. And she was asking very leading questions that come under the realm of fortune telling. And the state had just passed the city had just passed a fortune telling law that she could have led me away in handcuffs eventually, or someone could have. And so I evaded the questions and did something quite different, and didn't satisfy her urge. And turned out that she was from like the governor's office. And when her friend came up afterward, whom she claimed not to know, but I saw them chatting on the porch. It's like, come on. I said to her, look, I know that your friend was trying to entrap me. You can do one of two things. We can either sit here and stare at each other, or you can be forthcoming and get a real reading. And I turned over a card, and as I recall, it was the Empress reversed. I said, this says, and I got his hit right away. I said, this says you're having a lot of trouble having children. And it doesn't always mean that, but it hit me very hard that was her. And she began sobbing. And I said, so let's talk. And we had a lovely time. That doesn't sound like a lovely time, but we had a great reading. And he was quite satisfied. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a fortune teller. And I don't like that concept. That's not what we're about, you know? I was doing a fair there at the 12th house, sitting outside. I'll never forget it, right out in front. And someone had made an appointment. She came and sat down opposite me and said, I think I may have been scammed. I said, tell me what happened. She said, I went, they had an egg, and they cracked the egg open, and inside was this black, horrible, demonic thing. And I said, oh my God. I said, how much money did you lose? She said, $26,000. And I said, you've definitely been scammed. Call the police. Call the bunco. And she said, I can't. I feel like a fool. I said, don't feel like a fool. They do it all the time, and they do it to very intelligent people, and so on and so forth. And, it was just horrible. And that's one of the oldest games in the book. That's the other problem. We have to maintain a sense of personal pride and ethics and decency, or no one else will. We have to do this because there are people. $26,000. She said, what you have to do is you have to go to a graveyard and bring me back the little finger of a dead baby. Can you believe that? That's what this bunco artist, what this con told this poor lady who withdrew all her savings, and she said, I can't do that. She said, well, I'll do it for you. But what you have to do is you have to give me the money, and I'm going to take the money and I'm going to bury it. I'll take the little finger and I'll put it in with the money and bury it, and that will take this curse off of you. Ugh. And that's only one of the hundreds, maybe more, that I've heard of. The things that I've heard connected with these cards and connected with psychic stuff and, oh my God, so-called magicians. Now, there is magic. Trust me, magic works. But the people who claim to be using it, we have to be able to sleep at night. We have to be able to hold our heads up. It's important stuff. What we are doing is kind of regulated, but not by something that we can understand. Oh, well, yeah, Pamela. She says, how can anyone be so cruel? Well, look around you. Look around you today. Look around you today in our government, where there are tens of thousands of people in inhuman conditions being held without sanitary toilets, where women are being held without feminine hygiene products of any kind. Do you know that when senators go to these ICE facilities, do you know the one thing that they're asked for by women are feminine hygiene products because they don't have any. None. How can people be so cruel? They're treated like animals. They don't have somewhere to sit. They don't have somewhere to lie down. They don't lay. They're not hens. People are not being fed properly. They don't have sometimes clean water. Human beings are not necessarily humane. And when someone comes in and they've been duped by superstition or they've been duped by a con artist, it's bad. The egg thing is always a con. Always. Without doubt, without question, it's always a con. Does voodoo exist? You're damn right it does. I've known voodoo practitioners, and they're good at what they do, but it can get away, and enough of that. But there are unscrupulous people, and I've known some of these unscrupulous people who started out very nice, Cruelty seems to be easy for anyone who views life as a zero-sum game instead of a collaborative experience we're lucky to have. Well, I agree. I believe that I am a very blessed and lucky human being to have had the mom and dad I had, to have had the upbringing I've had, to have everything that I have. I believe that I am incredibly, incredibly lucky. Everything. And the joy I have in life is waking up every day and still being around. One day, I'm not going to be here. I know that. And it's important for us to realize the power of a deck of cards. Because when we speak, people listen. They listen. And even if they're not believers, they listen. And they listen carefully. And they may not believe a word of what we say, but they don't forget it. And they listen. It's power. And it's up to us to make sure that we pay attention to what we're doing and what we're saying, and not just, there's a real necessity for standards in this, and not to be flip, and not to just prattle off stereotypes, Oh, here's the death card, someone's going to die, la, 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 la. That's not what the death card is. But something has to represent finality and endings. When you have a piece of yarn, snip, that's the death card. And it represents so many other things as well. We have to have something that represents Scorpio in the deck. Death card. Fear, death card. Sexuality, death card. Lots of things. We have to know what we're talking about. And that means doing some studying, paying attention. The cards are magnificent. They're an encyclopedia of human knowledge and experience, if we allow them to be. If we pay attention to them, if we study them and human nature in the same place. That's what they are. They're incredible teachers. And we become pupils of humanity and being humane. And we grow, and we learn, and we become humble. You can't, if you're a true student of the metaphysical arts, you can't become snotty. You can't become conceited. You must become more humble every day, or you're not doing it right. And that's the truth. That's just the truth. All right. Well, I have blabbed on incessantly for my 55-minute allotted time slot. It has been a joyous day for me. Tax day, yes, but a joyous day for me. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being in the chat room today. I can't tell you how much it means to me. Can't tell you. Hey, if you know someone who might like to watch this weirdness, let them know. I'd love to have more and more people just because, you know, we old people, we like having people listen to us. And if you want to subscribe, please do. That'll make me feel good. Yep, I got another one. Listening, subscribing. That's good. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Until next week, I wish you all peace, and I wish you all love, and I wish you absolute happiness. And thank you so much in the chat room. You're very kind. Very, very kind. I have an idea for next week. I think it's going to be a cool show. Something you may not have learned. It's going to be about something in astrology that's a lot of fun. That I use it in tarot too. So I just came up with the idea today. I think you shall enjoy it. All right? Okay. Take care. Have a good week. And don't get too taxed today. R, R, R. Bye.
Until next we meet, I'll be waiting for you right here in the Paisley Penny Arcade.